students, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, welcome to Purposive Communication Debate 2022. My name is Karen K. Sidunan. I am glad to have this opportunity to be your moderator for today's event. Nowadays, we have noticed that children at their very young age were already influenced by technology, especially in terms of communicating. Parents would also prefer to teach their young ones to learn the international language rather than learning the national language. Now, as a Filipino citizen and as a communicator, is it better to teach the international language to children rather than letting them learn first the national language? At this juncture, we will hear two different views and opinions which will affirm and oppose the topic. Speaker of the affirmative team, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I stand in the notion that teaching international language to children rather than letting them learn the national language is because when it comes to children accidentally interacting with other people using the international language, they will communicate with them respectively. It has been found that the brain of bilingual and multilingual children works differently than the brain of monolingual children, and these differences provide several advantages to children that speak more than one language. Learning another language helps students learn about how language works in general and become more aware of their own first language such as grammar, conjugation, sentence structures, etc. Children who speak more than language have the opportunity to become more culturally aware and have the ability to better understand and appreciate cultural differences, which helps them be more open to different ways of thinking and allows them to experience the world with new eyes. As stated by Kathleen Marcos, society as a whole also profits economically, politically, and socially when its citizens can communicate with each other and appreciate people from other countries and cultures. A world in which different cultures and languages are valued and appreciated with open, aware, and empathetic people is a better world for our children. To conclude, at my age now, I realize that learning an international language is very important. I wish that I knew English when I was younger. English is very crucial nowadays. Now, honestly, I don't know grammar much, but now I persuade parents, teachers, or older to teach your children an international language so them to understand easily the people around them, especially in school.
I oppose the idea that children must learn international language first before learning their native language. A national language or native language is the first language children are exposed to. Yes, I agree with the idea that knowing international language is important, but how can we communicate with the people around us if we are not fluent enough with our very own language? Not everyone knows how to speak using the international language. That being said, if we learn the international language first before our own language, then we cannot communicate well locally. The chance that a child will have to communicate using international language in a young age is very slim. There is more phenomenon where children have to communicate using the native language. Therefore, learning the native language is a basic necessity, and hence, I firmly believe that the international language shouldn't be prioritized over the national language.
I disagree with the statement of teaching international language to children rather than letting them learn the national language. It is because our national language are not only allows us to communicate and to connect with one another, but it allows us to understand and appreciate the history of our ancestors. That's why we don't let our national language die, because national language plays an essential role in establishing our identity. That's why we must remember the significance of advocating what is ours, and learning our national language give us a unique sense of identity and can be considered as an essential step to establishing nationalism or one's love for the country. That's something if our dear parents of today won't instill their children the importance of our national language. In addition, letting learn our dear children our national language advocate believers that it's high time that we should free our children from the misconception that they have to learn our national language only to pass Filipino and Araling Panlipunan subject. It could be the missing link to our progress once we completely establish in our children at a very young age our identity as a Filipino citizen. Beginning from our language, we will develop their passion to make our nation great.
Teaching and learning the international language, which is English, is much more beneficial. Many governments, like Burundi, are now making English an official national language. The motivation behind this is to grow the economies and improve the career prospects of the younger generations. Alongside this move, we are seeing a trend particularly across sub-Saharan Africa that introduced English as a medium of instruction in basic education. The greatest benefit for a child learning an international language is to develop awareness of other cultures distinct from his or her own. Learning a new language shows a child that there is more to the world than that which he or she sees and interacts with. It adds a new way of describing the world, and thus a new way of seeing it.
That concludes today's debate. Thank you and God bless us all.